Hello, this is the fourth in our series of videos introducing the Anritsu's vector signal analysis software. In this video we'll be talking about our convert function. I'll open that up now. So this is this window, since it's meant to load a variety of different IQ data formats and output them to different formats, it does not use the file that the rest of the modes use, because everything else uses Anritsu's native DGZ format, and this can use any format. So so you have to load a file separately. So I'm going to select a file here, and I'm going to use one of our example files, 64QAM file. So this looks a lot like the view screen in part. We can do things like turn on the the different parts of the IQ data that we want to see. We want to turn on and see a nice sort of plot of I versus Q here. And we also have the AM/FM playback, just like in view. So we won't be talking about that. But what this is for then is most typically, I think you would have captured some data on an Anritsu instrument, and you want to export it to maybe look at in third-party software, or possibly load it into something like MATLAB, or where you some other use. So you have the ability to export. You also might have captured a large data, something that's modulated, and you want to analyze using, when we get there, the analysis, which is sort of a demodulation, and you want to look at something in the middle of that file. Then you can trim. So as we export, if these are not checked, then the entire file gets exported. But if you'd just like to, say you have a 1 second capture and you just want to pick 50 milliseconds out of the middle of it somewhere, then you can set time markers, and then the file, you can go directly from DGZ to DGZ, for instance, and the file would just be a segment of that file. So you can just take out a small segment and look at it. But what I really want to show today is just kind of how this works. Is we're going to export to a Wvd format. This is the native format for Anritsu's MG3710A signal generator. Actually, it's 3700 and 3710 and 40. So, and there's a little bit different options for these. So the reason we want to do that is because I can take a DGZ file I've captured. So raw IQ data I've captured with an Anritsu, say a Fieldmaster Pro, the MS2090A, or a remote spectrum monitor, and maybe I want to just capture signal and play it right back into the signal generator. And so that's what we can do here. So I've got some data here. I have a signal generator, and I also have an Anritsu Fieldmaster Pro that is connected to the signal generator. Right now it's doing, I think this is a 4 FSK signal, and so it's kind of a narrow band. Kind of remember what that looks like, because we are going to convert the 64 QAM signal into the format that the signal generator understands and accepts, and then we'll automatically start playing it. So then the signal in the Fieldmaster Pro, which is connected to the signal generator, right, it should change to show that. So we're going to choose export. So I can choose to save IQ data to a file, and that would be true of any of these other modes. I only get these extra buttons to the 3700 if that's the output option I've chosen. And I can still, if I'm not connected actively to an MG3710 in this case, then I might just save the file, save the converted IQ file to disk, and then I could use another process to get it on there when I have access. But in this case I do have one. So and so this little screen here will be different depending on what option. There's always something you need to do in terms of setting parameters. For this one, all we have to do is give it a I'm just going to call it 64 QAM. C for convert. So when I look at it on the file system, I'll know. So say OK, and it's going to go ahead and do the conversion. So let's create the files. Now it's going to ask me, do I want to? So I've chosen to export to the thing. So I have to enter a host name or IP address, which I've done in the past, so it remembers it. Otherwise, I would type that in. It's going to look and see that this is a 3710A. And then if I want to initiate play, so I can transfer it and have it ready for playback, but maybe I don't want to initiate playback immediately, or I can. So in this case, I want to, and I'm happy to play this back at 100 gigahertz or 1 gigahertz. So I'm going to leave that there. It shows the current frequency of the signal generator, and this box is automatically populated by the center frequency of the signal that we converted. They happen to be the same in this case, but it wouldn't necessarily be so. So I'll say OK. We can see the progress bar here move as it's transferred over and set up. But I'm going to flip to the playback on the Fieldmaster Pro so that we can see that this signal does in fact. So this is my 4FSK signal, and this file is being transferred over. When that's done, then see my signal changed automatically. So I've taken something I captured on the Fieldmaster Pro. I've converted it to a file that can be played back on Anritsu's signal generator. I've automatically copied that over and initiated the playback, and I can see the new signal running on the attached signal spectrum analyzer. So I think that's a pretty powerful tool that allows us to take a variety of inputs, export to a variety of outputs, and then play it back. So that is, I think, basically how the export function works. I would mention some of these formats, like say you can just do a raw binary where there's no metadata, and if you import that, then it's not going to know center frequency and bandwidth and sample rate, and so you would have to enter those by hand in order to have a valid. So if I were going to export to something that had metadata, you have to know something about the data or a text file. I can click these underline labels. If I click on them, then I can edit this center frequency to make it the value that I want or I suspect from that file. But you can't go from something that doesn't have metadata to something that does without entering the information that needs to be there in order to have a valid playback file. So in some cases you need to have information. If you're doing some of these formats that come with the metadata, then it's all there and it pre-populates things and it all gets translated over. So that works very well. And I think that covers it for today. Thank you.